Let's open this meeting of the Unionville Historic District and Properties Commission this day, Thursday, March 3rd, 2022 at 7 p.m. And we will start with reviewing and approving the February 3rd, 2022 meeting minutes. Have you all had a chance to read them and review them? They were short this month, so you don't have an excuse.
We can always have an excuse.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Everybody took a look at them?
Yes.
All right, very good. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I
Steve?
Motion to approve the minutes from February 4th.
Okay, we'll take a Steve as a primary. We'll take Bob as a secondary. Are there any changes or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, minutes approved. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the potential properties for the expanding district. And I know we have 2 or 3 different sub-reports here. I will start by letting you know that Dawn DeBach did withdraw her application for her house at 15 Keene Place. And Shannon had communicated with her that she needed to send a hard copy letter to the town to indicate that she was withdrawing. She did not give me a reason. It was an email, a very cordial email, but I don't know, Shannon, if you'd had an opportunity, or Garrett, you to talk with her.
No, we were hoping we'd have a response by today for the meeting. She didn't, so I'm going to reach out to her tomorrow and ask again just for a written response, just so we can throw it in the file. And
Yeah.
if anyone asks.
Yeah.
And I Lisa, you were CC'd on my email asking that if there's anything we could assist with to maybe change your mind or give me a call if there were questions or concerns, and there's been no response, so I'm not really sure what precipitated this, but
Yeah.
so we can always try again at a later time.
That's right. Absolutely. All right, so we will then move on to, we had a brief conversation last month about reaching out to others to encourage them to join the district. And Steve, I know you were a bright ray of sunshine when you said, I'm going to go talk to neighbors. So it sounds like you've received material from Garrett. So are you ready to go with what you need?
I am. Yes,
All right.
definitely.
Good.
Yeah.
Lisa, excuse me, I'm going to interrupt briefly. Garrett Ann is in under an as an attendee. Do you mind popping her over?
Yep.
She just came on, so I just noticed that.
So that just takes a second.
Yeah.
Am I correct in, I don't remember, the woman who attended last meeting, was she from 15 Keene Place?
Yes.
Yes, correct.
I thought so, yeah.
Yeah,
Just wanted to be sure.
there she comes. Hi, Ann.
Yeah,
She is.
right now showing her microphone and her camera off.
Maybe she's listening.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's okay for now.
let's proceed. Oh, there she
Agreed.
is. Hi, Ann.
Oh, there you go.
And
We must be a very boring commission. She does not look impressed.
Hey, Ann.
Hey, Ann. Okay. All right. Well, let's continue on then. So we've done a variety of things in the past to, we now have some wiggle room to not only cultivate new properties, but also become educated in how to do the property research. And I know Garrett's going to talk about that for our next agenda item. Little breathing room. In the past, we've done some mini events and we've contacted people individually about cultivating them to join the district. And Steve is going to take that initiative in his neighborhood. Do you have any other ideas or ways that the commission could reach out to potential, historic district property owners? Anybody have any thoughts or any
Social media?
social media, such
Unionville
as?
Talks, Unionville Talks, next door,
Mm-hmm,
Facebook,
mm-hmm.
but more, focused would be, my first idea would be Unionville Talks.
Okay, is that I'm not on it? Is that a pretty vigorous and well-attended site?
I'm not sure about numbers. Some of the discussions get active and lively, but it's all local happenings and local interest.
Okay,
So
Okay.
just an idea. I attend things through the Farmington Land Trust, like the dog sledding tomorrow and the snowshoe moonlight walk that they did in the West District area a couple weeks back.
mhm,
So something like that to promote the tours, to promote the ideas of the
Mhm.
district and the goals and the philosophies, I guess.
mhm, mhm.
Is there something we could piggyback on? Is there anything going on at the Unionville Museum right now? Are there any, is there a current exhibit? I know there had been the restaurant exhibits. I don't know if there's anything current going on. Is there
I think
something
the
that we
next
could
one, they're
piggy-
gonna, feature specific schools are gonna take turns and I think focus on histories of the local schools.
Oh, wonderful.
As far as I know, I don't know how accurate that is, but
Okay.
Yeah,
Dan,
and-
go ahead.
Anne would know probably.
Yes,
She's-
Anne would know. So what the situation is that Patty promised the two Union School and West District School to do. We've done a couple of years in a row now. We've done an exhibit that they put together, and that was the idea for this year. And what happened is that she's been having trouble contacting the people at Union School, which is the first one that's supposed to be. It was
Right
supposed to
next
start
door.
2 weeks ago or something
Yeah.
like that, and they haven't responded. So we're waiting to see. And then I believe that the West District one is going to be opening on beginning of April, I think it was.
Oh, great.
And so that one, they've been a little bit easier to work with in the past. So I'm guessing that that's going to be the case again. What's going to happen with Union School, I have no idea at this point. So
We should
Okay.
push the high school just to try to save the main old building, at least the facade.
We
Yeah.
were talking about
It'd
that.
be timely to feature that school first because
Ah. A little political current pressure. Well, it sounds to me, in order to keep our message consistent, that we need to develop a very crisp and direct old-fashioned press release that could then be released to social media, to maybe on the town's, through, I'm sorry, Rose Ponte's Explore Farmington.
Yeah.
And maybe even through on the town website. But that it would be the ways of kind
we
of
could do
expressing the
something with the
message.
Unionville Museum. But we have a newsletter that goes out, so that's going to be going out sometime this spring too. And I'm sure that.
Oh,
we
great.
could
Okay.
put something there.
Okay. I think that'd be great. I'd be glad to work with somebody to put together a short press release. Anybody want to do that with me? We could do that via email.
Does Matt have a format for that?
Who?
Matt. He used to
For
issue them.
press release?
Well, he
Um,
has a format for the newsletter but if we're doing just a press release,
Yeah.
you know, and we've got some of the cultivation letters that we can probably start to pull wording from. And
Okay.
the town has a newsletter as well, and it'll be going out in the spring. And Farmington Historic District is looking at doing some cultivation as well.
Okay.
And they just asked, there's a new member, her name is Michelle Phelan, and she started a month or two ago, and seems to perhaps have a little more time on her hands than some of the other members, and is interested in trying to revamp guidelines and do cultivate, like a welcome letter or cultivation letter. So I sent her everything that Unionville's already done. But maybe we do one, figure out the appropriate wording so we could do one press release that perhaps is appropriate for both, so that like if it's going in a newsletter, then, right, it could be a universal message that ties back to then Garrett and I as contact points, as staff liaisons.
Right. I think that's efficient and perfect.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay, well, we've got the cultivation letters. You know, either Garrett or I will draw straws and see who comes up for air first. We can maybe take that and try to snip it down. I can also reach out to Michelle, Lisa, because I just sent her everything just this afternoon, actually, and see if that's even something that she's interested in doing. You know, she seems to have some time and has some interest in tackling some of this.
Great. Good. All right. Well, I hope we get some bites, but I hope we don't get 30 bites.
Yeah,
Just
right.
that. But
Oh.
That's great. I mean, and Steve, let's face it, spring's got to come before you're able to get out there in a significant way and, you know, talk to people. So I think if we give ourselves through maybe the end of June, we'll evaluate every month and see what kind of interest we get. But let's give ourselves the spring and early summer to for this cultivation period. What do you think? Okay.
Great.
All right. Good.
And I can dust off the list that we have.
Yeah.
At least redistribute the last one, and then folks could take a look at it. And yeah, well, what I'll do, because if I wait to make sure that it's updated and latest and greatest, it's never going to happen. But
Right.
I'll send the list as it is, and then Garrett and I can also take a look to make sure that the we'll back check it to see if the owner information is correct and whatnot. And then if we need to send an update, we will. But I'll at least get the
Okay.
latest one out to
That'd be
get
great.
folks thinking. Yep.
How many times is too many times to request that a property owner consider this? I mean, some of the people on that list we've approached, I think 3 times. Or do we just not worry about that? Just keep going? I mean, we have an open period now for applications, so you just keep contacting them.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay.
If they're an absolute no, they're an absolute no, but who knows? Things change in people's lives.
Yeah, good point, Barbara. Okay, good. All right,
Yep.
we won't worry about that then.
Well, and I think maybe for now, the cultivation list, we can kind of kick around and look at and see, you know, maybe we also have new members, some new members. So maybe someone knows someone that we didn't
Yeah,
have that
that's
connection
right.
previously. And then I know, you know, we were thinking of
Go
doing a
ahead.
fall event, and we can maybe do a direct mail prior to the fall event, and see
Yeah.
see where that gets us.
Great. That's a great plan. All right, that's an excellent plan. Anybody have any other thoughts on cultivation? And excellent. This will be our major push then for the next few months. Excellent. All right. Well, Garrett, talk to us about the property research. training. Very
Yes.
exciting.
So I've got a little presentation that I'll just run through quickly. I know Barbara, Ann, and Steve were interested in actually doing the training or learning how to do it. It's not a formal training. It'll be me showing you how to do it. While we don't currently have any properties for Unionville, we actually do currently have 3 properties for Farmington Historic District. So if all 3 of you are interested in doing it, then I can each hand you one, and it would be a great help to have assistance with that, with the research on those properties. They're all in the same street, so at least getting pictures is pretty easy, but doing the title search and owner research sometimes takes a little bit. I know Barbara has been doing a lot of research on various town properties at the library, so you can definitely bring that in and see if there's the library has the historic registry for any of these properties. That being said, so I'll just run through a little presentation about how to do property records searches. All right. So in order to do this, you go to the town website. I'm sure everyone knows farmington-ct.org. And then if you scroll down to the bottom, under quick links, there's a spot that says GIS mapping. That's a free mapping service that the town offers. If I it'll bring you to this page, which tells you what we offer. You click access GIS mapping again. And then there's just a disclaimer that says that the information is not always 100% accurate. It's verification is the duty of the researcher to verify. However, it's generally referring to property lines and whether the zoning and the assessor's card is correct or not. For our purposes, it doesn't really matter. We're just going to be looking at the property and looking at who owned the property previously, and that gives us a jump start in the research. So you just click the accept. I did this when 15 Keene Place was still interested in joining, so I based the entire presentation around that address. So to get started, there's a search box. You can just put in the house number and the street number and then hit search, or go, I should say. It'll show up this. Sometimes if it's if there are 3-digit addresses on the street, it'll pull up the others. So let's say there's 15, there's 150, there was a 1500, things like that. But you know which address you're looking for. So you just would click on property card, and that'll bring you to the property card that the assessor's record has. That includes all the information about the house. It'll give you the year built, the style. It won't go into the architectural style that we'll generally have in the report, but residential versus commercial, usually the kind of style, the number of stories, things like that, the siding. And then down at the bottom, there's a section that's called sales history, and that'll tell you the past few owners, depending on how long they've owned the property, how many sales it's gone through. The only thing I would say is before a certain date, I don't know which date, it depends on the property. The sale date, you'll notice right here, the last sale date was 1/1/1900. That was not the case. That was not the last sale. It just, the records only go back so far once they're digitized. So what this does, it gives you the owner, and it also gives you the book and page that is in the land records vault of the clerk's office. The clerk's office is available. The records are available online back to, I believe, the 1940s or the 1960s. So at least you can pull some records before having to go into the books in the vault. And I'll show you what that looks like. And then if we had set up a date to have some training, I'll bring everyone down there to show you how to go through the books. So you can access the online records. If you go back to the town page, there's a button in the top right that says Service Finder. And then you want to find land records and then learn more. And that'll bring you to the information about the land record system. It's not free for copies. There's a charge. However, if you're doing it at the clerk's office, you can just print right from the computers that they have in the vault, and it'll just come out in the copier. And that would obviously be free because it's part of town research. If you're doing it for personal reasons, then there's a charge for that. That's part of the FOI standards. But you can look at them for free. It's free to look at them. So you search land records database,
Garrett, they can, I'm gonna interrupt, it
Yeah.
can be downloaded as a PDF though, correct? And that's
Yeah,
free.
and I think it
So if
says
you're
on a-
doing it at home, you can download it as a PDF for free.
Yeah, and there'll be a watermark that says unofficial on it.
Oh, okay.
But it, it depends on, you don't need the whole book and page for each thing. You're just looking for, and I'll point that out. You're looking for who is the owner, when did they buy it, things like that. So the website's called Record Hub. Again, information, so it is subject to verification by the end user. So you can create an account. 1946 is how far back the records go. So at least they can get you started instead of having to go through the big books. Sometimes they're heavy depending on how many records are in them. And I'll run through actually creating an account when we have the meeting, because I've already made an account, so it's not going to benefit you, because you have to select a plan, then subscribe to Farmington, then check out, and then you're good to go. So, but I've already done it, so I wouldn't be able to show you. So this is what the land records vault looks like. It's down in the clerk's office on the bottom lower level of the town hall. The vault, you can just walk right in. As soon as you walk in, there's computers that are public access. You can just you can search on those. And then there's the land record volume. So they'll say volume or book, like it says on the property card, and then it's by page. At one point, it used to be that the page number was the first page in the deed. Now, the more recent ones it'll be the page, all of the pages are labeled page 100, part 1, part 2, part 3. So you'll be looking for just the first number, and then sometimes you have to thumb through the older ones. So when you go to search the online records, it shows up like a search like this, but in order to do a much faster advanced search, you can click on where it says all and click on book and page, and it'll give you 2 search fields, and then you just put in the book and the page. I've got the examples from 15 being placed over here. So you just put in 1182 and then 689. And it'll bring you this because there's only one record. And you can click the little magnifying glass and it'll bring up the record. Obviously, there's usually multiple pages. You just need to scroll down until it says Exhibit A or Schedule A. That's usually what the deed is. So what it'll do is it'll give you the meets and bounds of the property. And then down here, conveyed to herein by warranty deed to the previous owner, the date that it was sold, and then the next volume and page. So we've got Arthur and Edith Nelson owned the house before. They sold on July 11th, 1985. And they purchased it on July 11th, 1985. And the volume is 318, page 1077. So then you would just repeat that process until obviously you run out of digital records. And then you just go to the books and you have to read through the records. I think around 1920s maybe, the records go to handwritten. And we've got a little cheat sheet from the engineering department, because it's more of a script. It's not necessarily cursive writing. It's more of like a specific script that they use, and it can help you decipher. I'm sure some people are better with cursive than others. I'm younger, so we didn't use cursive as much. But that's how that works. To help you, I've made a little spreadsheet. So you can just put in the property that you're researching, whether it's for the Farmington or Unionville district, the date, who's searching, and then you just put in the date of the sale, the book and page, the name, and any notes you want to make. So you can, some people have notes. So one thing that came up with Keene Place was that it was formerly known as Walnut Street. There was two Walnut Streets in Unionville, and one of the previous owner was Michael Keene, who's the street's named after. So that, you can write that down. The owner was Keene, who the street is named after, something like that. So with that quick little rundown, anyone that's interested in performing the research, we can have a meeting at Town Hall. I'll run through the presentation one more time, and then we can just go down to the clerk's vault and we can get you guys started and you can perform the research. So if there's a time that works, maybe next week or the week after, if you want to let me know, we can schedule it and set it up, and we'll just meet. We'll start in the planning office, then downstairs.
The
Garrett,
little-
that's excellent.
presentation that you just put together, can you put that into an email and send that to us?
Yes, I will. I wanted to run
Yeah.
through it first before just sending it in blind.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you.
that's excellent.
And
Really.
if so, I know, like I said, Barbara, you were interested. I'll print out you can do 3 slides and then notes. So that way I'll print that out for you as well. You can take notes because
Okay.
the way I understand it versus the way someone else understands it is completely different. So
Right. Yeah, and you gotta, if I try from home to play with it a
Right.
little, I need to click on a lot of stuff.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, right.
Yeah.
What's the difference between assessed value lookup and the GIS lookup?
It gets you
it's
to
the
the
same
same
thing.
place.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
the
It's
GIS.
just, it's just
Yeah.
preference.
that's
Yeah.
Yeah, we use GIS on a daily basis. So
Okay.
that's the way I go through it. You can go through the assessed records, but because there's the quick link for the GIS website, it's a little easier to get to.
Did you want to set up a time now or?
We can set up a time. I'll send out an email tomorrow with the PowerPoint, and then if the 3 of you are still interested, then we can kind of come to an agreement on a time. My schedule's usually fairly open for the most part.
I think we all should be doing it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. I mean, for
We
your
should
own
all be
interest.
knowledgeable of all of it.
Yeah. So who's ever interested, that's fine. Like I said, at the last meeting, Barbara, Ann, and Steve are the ones that voiced interest. But if you,
Right.
the more the merrier, because like I said, right now we just have 3 properties for Farmington that would be helpful to get assistance on researching.
Right.
There could be more, and then if we had Unionville, the more people that can do it, the better.
And I'm telling you, once you do this once, you'll be bitten by the bug. It's so much fun. It really is so much fun. So yeah, great. That's excellent, Garrett. Very, very exciting.
Thank you.
As I'm thinking about the kinds of details that are fun to include or in a study report narrative, I'm trying to think about other things to put on your spreadsheet, but I don't think I will. I think what you've got is perfect. We'll start with that and sort of backtrack into researching details as we using the information on that sheet. That's really excellent.
Right, and it's a starting point to just figure out who owned the house. I think
Yes.
almost 2 or all 3 of the houses for Farmington were all
Yep.
built by the same person. I don't remember.
Noah Wallace.
Who it was.
Noah
Yes,
Wallace.
thank you.
It's a wonderful.
I almost said Webster, Noah Webster, but that's
Yeah. Well, Farmington's Noah Webster. Noah
yes.
Wallace. Yeah. That's great. Good. Oh, very exciting. I wish I could be there, but I will. That's okay. All right. Any questions for Garrett on the process or?
Just quick reference, what street is that in Farmington? All 3 houses are on?
Waterville Road,
Waterville Road, right?
Waterville?
Mhm.
Thank you.
one that the country club is on.
Yep. So we
Yeah,
brought a
it's-
house built by Noah Wallace into the Farmington Historic District in the last go around. And so there's a really wonderful narrative about Noah Wallace. He was a fascinating man, and I won't even start talking about him because I'll blather on and on. But it's worth, I bet that's on the website. I bet the study report's on the Farmington Historic District page on the town website. It's worth reading. So it's really, this is a fabulous thing to have so many houses built by the same person in a district. Really, really wonderful. So great. Oh, this is really terrific. This is exciting. Good.
Lisa, while I'm thinking about it, because you brought it was Angela Munson's house that was on Waterville, that is the one. And she's interested, I can't remember if you were CC'd on my exchange or not. She's interested in having it added to the state registry, which is no longer done automatically when they're added locally.
Right.
She had tried, there was one woman at the State Historic Preservation Office that she had contacted, explained to her that that's not, I think she's the one that handles the registry list. And
Yes.
so Angela came back through her first name's Jennifer. I can't remember her last name.
Uh-huh.
But at any rate, I reached out to Mary Doon to see what the process might be for adding to the state registry.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard back from her, but are you, and I can certainly, and I know Mary gets quite busy.
They're very hard to reach. They're just so hard to reach. If you want to send me if you would send me your email to Mary Dunn, I will do a follow-up email to her.
Okay.
And I have, in the last couple of years, they're a very thin staff.
I know, yeah.
But I finally went to the director and I got a response from her. So
Okay.
I hate to pull rank like that, but this, sometimes you have to. So
No.
I'm happy to do that. If you would just maybe forward that email you sent to Mary Dunn to me, I'd be glad to follow up with her.
Absolutely. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, Angela is really set on getting it on the state registry, so I'd like
That's
to
great.
help. Yeah, exactly. I'd like to help facilitate, so.
Absolutely.
Is that essential to take advantage of the tax credits, is to have that?
No,
Oh,
it's just local.
Shannon, is that true? If you can use tax credits with just local?
Mhm.
I was really worried about that because that was a little unclear. And
Right, I get
they,
confused.
yeah, it's not stated directly. And let's see, it was until January of 2019. I think that's right. If your property was put into a local historic district, it automatically was listed as a state historic
should.
district property. It should be, but they changed it.
It wasn't clear.
They changed it in January of 2019, and I was never able to get an answer as to why they changed it. I still don't know that. They just never announced it. And when you approach the State Historical Commission just about it, they won't talk about it. So I don't know. That sounds conspiratorial. I don't mean that to be the case. Maybe, who knows? I don't know. But it's very frustrating. It makes it's very frustrating for property owners, and it's really frustrating for municipalities who are trying really hard to grow their historic districts. And the historic tax credit is a wonderful tool to encourage people to join.
Yes. And my understanding is that the local registration was all that needed, and that's when Alyssa Luzapone was still, she's the woman that had done the presentation and has since gone to Newport. But at the time, and so this catch-22, it's all in how you phrase a question, correct? So at the time, I believe I had asked Alyssa that once they are registered, they then qualify for the tax credit. And I believe the response at that point was yes, but also at that time that we would have received the, when we did that educational seminar, I think at that time, when you added a home, it was also immediately added to the state registry. So it's interesting. I'm saying yes, and I'm now second guessing myself as to whether or not the tax credits apply if it's only local versus state. So we can check and see if that's something we can get clarified. Because I think when I asked the question, if once you did one, the other one followed automatically.
Okay. Well, we'll get clarification. We need to get a statement from them.
I think at that time they were thinking of getting rid of it, the tax cut. Because the state was in desperate need of money or whatever at that time.
Right.
So they started cutting back, and then they closed the office there for a little while, but then they reopened it again. So
That's right. That's right. Yeah, unfortunately, that office tends to be a political football. It's not the fault of the staff. It's there can be a lot of money involved with development. We don't see it in the interior of Connecticut, but along the coastline, there's a lot of competition for state dollars with rehabilitation of historic buildings and development. So it's it's a world I don't know, but it puts a lot of pressure on the commission, the state commission. So, but our job is to take care of Farmington and Unionville. So we've got to have answers, and we'll get them. All right. Maybe we ought to send Garrett in. He's a fresh face, a fresh voice. You know, he can ask the questions all over again and
Yeah.
Right.
maybe he can answer. I don't know.
Feed him to the lions.
So Karen, if I don't get satisfaction, I'll connect with you and we'll send you in. All right, good. It shouldn't be this hard. It shouldn't be this hard, but anyway. All right, Gary, anything else you'd like to,
Nope, that's it. Like I said, I'll just send out an email to her. I guess I'll send it to everyone tomorrow. With a copy of the presentation, just say anyone that's interested, let me know what your availability is, and we can set up a time to meet. I'm assuming that Matt probably won't be able to participate because he works during the day. And town hall's only open 8:30 to 4:30, but I can always talk to him on a different point
Yeah.
if he's just curious.
yeah, I bet he will be. Yeah, I bet he will be. Good. All right. Well, let's move on then to the walking tour brochure, which Barbara and Steve were working on, I believe. Have you had a chance to do any more work on that?
Well, of course, Steve and I did get together last week, and he has a lot of architectural language that he's putting together, and he said he's
Great.
going to pare some of it down because we're only talking about a paragraph or so. So
And
he's
23
working on
buildings.
that.
23 buildings. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
it's a lot.
Possibly.
It's a lot.
Potentially, maybe more.
And each one of them is gorgeous. So, but I did have a couple of ideas I wanted to ask about. First, assuming that we start at Tunxus for the actual tour, I was thinking of asking someone from the Tunxus Firehouse, a representative, to perhaps do a little blurb and be there to give information about that building. I don't know if they ever open it. I know it's used mostly for storage, so I don't know if it's possible to go in, but it would be interesting to find out.
There's a great old fire engine in there. Ann, is it still there? Do you know if the fire engine is still in the Tuxas Hose building?
I don't know for sure. I could check with my brother.
I think that's a great idea, Barbara.
Yeah, so, and the other thing was, while just playing on my computer today, I came across a bunch of pictures that Sanford and Hawley have out on the internet,
Mhm.
and some are fairly old. And I was thinking, get over to the library first of all, and also find out, maybe Ann knows whether or not we have some old pictures of the Sanfords, the Twos, the Nemeths, the people who lived on that block. I don't know. It might be interesting because you keep talking about the same names over and over again. And I mean, we're not going to have anything. Yeah, I'm trying to remember, how old do they go? They go to at least the 1860s.
1840,
Pictures.
1844.
Yeah.
1840.
So, if we have, and then if we can perhaps, when we're putting this together, have a picture of the house and maybe a picture of the people involved.
Mhm.
So I wanted to do a little work and see what we
Mhm.
have. The Sanfords may have a lot in their own personal
Mhm.
pictures. So maybe contact them and ask about that. It would make it more interesting because, like I said, you talk about them, people looked different. They just dressed different. The way they took the picture was different. And it's kind of interesting to look at the old pictures. I think that'll make the history more alive, really, if we can actually see people who were there.
So I have two suggestions for you. One is Frank Sanford, who's one of the Sanford brothers who still run Sanford and Hawley. He's the family historian, the family and company historian. He did a great program for us a few years ago in the history series. He's got a ton of photographs. So you could contact Frank at Sanford and Hawley. He has an office there. He works
Okay.
there.
I
I'm
will.
sure he'd be happy to share what he has. And the other thought I had was the Farmington room at the Farmington Library. I think it's
Yes.
finally open a few hours a week to the public. And I
Right.
do believe that they have a volunteer in there, and it might be Betty Kuykendall, who is former Farmington town historian, who has a memory like a steel trap. She's amazing. And if you can visit the Farmington room when she or another volunteer is there, you could probably definitely get some help finding photos.
I think it's just on Wednesday and you have to call the library ahead of time to let them know you're coming.
Oh, it is still kind of
Yeah.
tough. Okay.
So-
All right.
But I'm free most Wednesdays, so be interesting. Steve might want to go also and see some of the old books they have in there. There's at least one on colonial architecture might be interesting to take a look at also. So,
You know, I think what do you think of this, Garrett and Shannon? As commissioners, you work on behalf of the town. And I really do think that if you were to call the Farmington Town Librarian, Chris Lindquist, and tell him that you'd like to visit the Farmington room at another time, if that's more convenient, I think they would open it for you.
okay. Well, I mean,
Consider that. Well, you do town work. I think that's everybody,
Okay.
you know. So anyway,
yeah,
Comment
they're
here,
good.
the-
I mean, if you know what you need out of that room, they will do it, but they prefer that you at least let them know ahead of time. So the reference librarian,
yeah.
can set up her schedule so she could get it,
Sure.
which they're very nice.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
and accommodating, so.
definitely. Good.
Yeah, my guess is unlike the rest of the library, they don't want just people in it. Like there's probably someone in the room at all times while there's a visitor.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
that's probably
they-
driving the need to
Sure.
schedule the appointment ahead of time because you have to be accompanied the entire time you're there is my guess is,
Yeah, I think
is what
that's-
that's sounding like, which
Makes sense.
I've been in there before and they haven't sat in there watching all the time. They let you go about and do your thing. And then when you're ready to come out, you hand them back the key.
oh,
You're
okay.
on camera. You're on camera.
Okay.
Oh, you're on camera. Okay.
On camera.
I never thought of
Always
that.
on camera.
I don't think.
Yeah,
it was
they're
wrong.
watching you.
I won't pick my nose.
There you go.
I had an idea, something, I don't know, to augment a brochure or a different form could be some kind of virtual tour of a district.
Ooh.
Maybe on a website through the town. through the
Uh-huh.
commission.
Could do that.
Because I've been documenting these houses presently, and it might be fun to do a slideshow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Original photographs of the house and then present photographs of the houses.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you could, like the booklet, the history of Unionville.
Yeah.
Have you found original photos or photos, maybe not?
Intermittent pictures of the family,
Yeah.
juxtaposed to the house,
Mhm.
the image of the house.
Great.
You could do a virtual tour for those who can't walk it or.
Yeah. That's a wonderful idea.
That's a really fun idea.
I love
Yeah,
that.
Good idea.
Hopefully by the next meeting, I'll have a PowerPoint
We'll
as good
have-
as Garrett's for the lovely street district.
PowerPoint.
But I'm new to this.
The
Well,
only
that's
thing is we may come in with a lot of stuff, and then,
Well, I
Usually
think
working
that's
my hands on
fabulous.
Building.
but there are a lot of properties and there's a lot of history there.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, my
You could-
gosh.
You could do
yes.
that for every district, every
Absolutely.
district in town.
Absolutely.
Something different. Brochures are wonderful and they're easy to pick up at local places and distribute.
But there is a brochure of walking tours, so, but
Yeah.
if we could
Should be.
actually digitalize and put virtual walking tours for all the districts, that would be fascinating, but
That would be absolutely wonderful. What a
Yeah.
great.
And then I can go on and on and on about all the architectural detail and terminology And people can just, swipe
That's right. You
left,
won't be
swipe right,
constrained. That's right.
as fast as they want.
That's great, Steve. I think that's wonderful.
And then we
In
could
person,
just
I
throw,
tend to get on a soapbox and just, you gotta
That's
like.
fine.
we could just throw something in at the end, telling them to keep the facade of the old building at the high school and tear the rest of it down. We could do
Yes.
that too.
Yes, last minute, last ditch effort.
Yeah. Wonderful ideas. Wow. Okay, we're going high tech.
All right.
Wonderful. Well, we'll look forward to hearing how you guys are doing and learning more from what you learn. That's great. Good. Anything else about the walking tour you just wanted to bring up before
We
we
need
move on?
better sidewalks on Lovely Street.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Who do I talk to about that, Shannon and Garrett?
Oh,
Yeah, right.
Shannon's restraining herself. Yeah.
Department of Public Works.
Well, the party line response, the town ordinance is the individuals are responsible for the maintenance of the sidewalk in front of their homes, both the repair and the snow removal. That's the town ordinance. With that said, there is a sidewalk project that'll be going on in Farmington from Route 10 down to just north of the CVS, down to about Tungus Street, to replace the sidewalks on both sides of Farmington Avenue in kind.
Wow.
So it would be talking to your area rep and on town council and seeing if that can be made a priority. As really we all share the same bucket of dollars, and it's just about how they get distributed. The sidewalks in Farmington are being done partially through a state grant. So we were able to secure some state funding. And that's been years that's been discussed. So it's been quite some time for that to come to fruition. So, but
I can also add that in the town council strategic plan, we're actually going to be reviewing the ordinance at some point. So there is a potential that does get adjusted when we get into that process.
Oh, very good.
Mhm.
Timely question, Steve. Good. All right. Okay, I think Steve's going to be a busy man for the next few years. Well, this is good. I mean, this is how we take care of our town, right? That's great. All right, let's move on to the final item on our agenda, and that is the update of the guidelines. Garrett, thank you very much for taking what we've done and pulling it all together.
Question at page 10.
What's that,
Page
Bob?
9, page
A question on page 10.
Okay, let's jump right to it. Okay.
I don't know,
Yes?
the copy I got had a block, a yellow line block under.
Hold on, let me open what I sent.
Maybe it was an error or what, I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was using, we were using track changes.
Track changes, so maybe
So
that.
that's why it's gonna show up in a different color. So anything that was changed
Oh, okay. That
is
makes-
gonna show a little differently than the rest of the text.
Yeah, it doesn't show there.
Did that section start with decorative and retaining walls, Bob?
Yes,
Yeah,
Yes,
Yes.
that's changed.
yeah.
So we had some discussion about, you had some discussion about adding structural and decorative walls to the guidelines.
right.
I'm trying to see if we can do this. Try, because the edits aren't showing up. I did. have
Yeah, the
track
track
notes.
changes aren't showing right. Yeah.
Bob, did you have a question about the meaning of that particular paragraph? Is that
No, it wasn't the paragraph. I was just wondering why the mark was there. That's all.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's really just the editing thing.
It's just your edification, right?
Yeah, okay, all right. All right, so Garrett, you don't have to search for the background there. I think we're okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
changing labels.
so I don't know if you want, there aren't that many changes. Do you want to go through each one as a commission, or you've gone through it? I have not attended a couple meetings where you've gone through them also, so you may feel that you have a thorough understanding of these changes and you're comfortable with them. What's your,
I do have one question. Actually, it was one of mine under Windows.
can you give us the
There you
page
go.
number, Barbara?
Page 8,
Okay,
in the first paragraph on Windows, I had put in colors should be matched. And I believe we can't request that they do that. So I don't know if we can make it as a suggestion or not. Because the windows are on the outside.
mm-hmm.
It leaves it, I think with should be matched as closely as possible. Leaves it flexible, but
Barbara is right that we, I
Yeah.
mean, the
Yeah.
property owner wants to have a whole new color scheme. We really can't.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
can
'cause-
make it, we can make a suggestion. We can say,
In the intro, we say the commission has no jurisdiction over paint color or
Right.
landscaping, for example.
yes, yes.
So I actually interpreted it as, let's say you're replacing one window, that the color of that window should match the rest of the.
Mhm. Well,
if-
yeah, in that case,
Oh,
yes.
yes.
That's how I interpreted it. That's why I
Okay,
put it in
yeah.
there. You don't, sometimes you're only replacing one window. It's, replacing
could
all
say
of your
we
windows. can be a
recommend.
toss-up.
We recommend colors should be matched.
Yeah, so in that case, I see what the difference is and what Garrett is saying, and it is unclear.
Yep, I can add some language to clarify that.
Yeah, it should be matched as closely to as possible to the existing or other windows or something. Remaining windows.
remaining
Yeah, that
windows?
might-
Windows.
Yeah, that
Okay.
would clarify that. Yeah, that would clarify that. Okay.
That's easy to fix.
Okay. Yeah, good.
So,
Yes, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Lisa.
No, I was simply going to ask if there are any other questions or a discussion needed about some of the other changes, so. What were you going to say, Garrett?
I was gonna say so what I can do tomorrow is I will send the minutes of the 3 meetings that the commission discussed the changes. I think it was June, August, and October, maybe.
Okay.
We have them saved in a folder, so I can just really quickly throw them in an email to everyone. And that way, between now and next month, everyone can review the changes that we've talked about so far. Make sure that what you said or what you intended was written correctly. I think Matt might have been the one that suggested adding language for electric vehicle chargers.
Yeah.
And I hadn't found anything in any existing regulations, so I think I had just written it. So I threw something in there. I think it's on page 11.
Yeah.
Whenever possible, it should be placed toward the rear of the building, so it's not visible from the street. And if you can't place it there, then you screen it with evergreen plantings or something like this. I mean, they're not huge, but they're distinctive, I think.
Yeah.
I think you'd definitely be able to tell that it doesn't go with the house from the street.
No, that was a good way to fold those in. Yeah. Well, that would be, why don't we make that, with Garrett's considerable help here, make that our final study as a commission of these guidelines. We'll review, make sure that the changes reflect the discussions we've had as a commission over the past year. And then let's come to our next meeting ready to discuss and to vote on these guidelines.
Okay.
So that we can conclude this. And I think you've done a great job with all these things. These are good refinements. And it's good for us to go through it again and remind ourselves of what the guidelines are, specifically. But is there anything in here that somebody'd like to discuss this evening? Does somebody? Steve?
Yeah, there's something in the introduction that I thought, I don't know, might be embellished or approached at a different angle. It has to do with a very broad general goal of the commission. It's in the middle of the introduction. Therefore, the commission's goal is to preserve and protect exterior features that make the community a warm and welcoming one that people want to live in, while allowing for the appropriate modifications to properties as the community changes and grows. I was also wondering, taking a closer look at this Lovely Street district, a way to mention or give a feeling of how we regard architecture and the people who built the architecture in our town. It's a way of honoring the history. And so I wrote it a few different ways.
Yeah, read them to us, Steve.
They all kind of say the same thing, I think. But honoring the history of our village so we can recognize the earlier accomplishments and efforts of our founding families who helped establish this town. Or honor the story of our town's history and the craftsmanship of our buildings and architecture that helped us all remember and respect those who helped build our community, or retaining as many architectural features on as many older buildings as possible, which helps tell the story of our town and honors those that built them. So looking at it in the architectural respect and reverence, and then also looking at the people who helped our town and trying to connect those can be a goal. Adding to the warm and welcoming and the wanting to live here. And it could add value to your property.
Oh, that it does.
That's right.
Just, I don't know, something that, I don't know, intertwines the historical aspect of the nuts and bolts of, critical analysis of.
Steve, I like your C.
Yeah, I was going to say I do too. Yeah.
What?
Your third one. Is that what you were saying, Bob? The third
Yeah.
the third one. I agree. That one struck me as well. You were working from the architecture out to the people.
Retaining as many architectural features on as many older buildings
Yes.
as possible.
Yes.
Which helps tell the story, yeah.
Yeah, that's a direct connection. We really do that in practice.
Right.
But you've phrased that really beautifully.
It took me 3 times.
Well, good writing usually does. I like the idea of including that in the introduction. How do the rest of you feel?
I do. I like that.
Well,
Yeah.
it needs to be edited.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll do that. Yeah.
Steve, would you mind just sending me what you wrote up so that way I have it all typed up and I can just throw it in as a track change, and then when
Hand it
you
over.
send you
Pass
send that
it
to
on.
me, I'll put it in, and then I'll send out an updated guidelines to everyone. to
Terrific.
review.
That's
Thanks.
great. Excellent. That's great, Steve. Very good.
I'm not very good at sentence structure and grammatic sort of formalities. So I'd like anybody to adapt it and consider it. Maybe.
Well, I think it was beautifully written, but we'll let Garrett, he can tweak if he thinks that, he'll kind of meld it into the rest of the paragraph, which will be great. The
Okay.
artistic, nice, nicely done. I do have to say, when we put something about solar panels in our lines the last time, I was really proud of us. But man, am I proud of us this time with the electric charging stations. We are like way ahead of everybody else. Way to go. Are we not ahead? Garrett's kind of raising his
No,
eyebrows.
no,
Like,
I was just
no, you're
moving
not
my
really
glasses.
ahead of everybody.
Nope,
Oh,
just
okay.
moving my glasses.
Well,
Little
that's
local
what
pride
makes,
there.
that's what makes history living.
Yeah, that's moving, moving history. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good. Well, then we'll wait. Thank you, Garrett, for wrestling, for kind of continuing to mold this. We'll do one more review then, and we will vote on this at our next meeting. And this is quite an accomplishment, given that we had a pandemic going on and lots of other things. So good job, group. All right. Well,
Oh, on a footnote, Lisa,
Yes.
you said
Yeah.
Kuykendall was the former historian?
yes, Betty Kuykendall.
I
Very,
think she's
very.
giving a talk at the church on Sunday.
Yes, about the meeting house. It's the
Yeah.
on Main Street in Farmington. It's the 250th anniversary of the building. It's
Something like that,
It's-
yeah.
it's an amazing architectural
Beautiful.
wonder and a beautiful building. And Betty will be talking about the people who built it, and there's some wonderful stories. So if you can attend, please do.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of. I
And
guess-
Steve, do you have info on that you could share?
Yeah.
I don't know, social media.
Oh, yeah.
Medieval talk.
I have
Medieval
a
thoughts.
flyer.
Sure.
I got a flyer. I'll send it out to everybody.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
That'd be great. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, you
Mm.
bet. Yeah, it's an old fashioned flyer. It's not social media, but
That's art. Just put it in an email. That's
okay. Okay. I won't mail it to you. I'll put it in an email.
If I come across it again, I'll send a link.
If you
Thank you.
try to mail it, we may not get it till 3 weeks
You're
from
right.
now,
You're right. Yeah, that's for sure.
unfortunately.
Well, well, good. Anything else anybody wants to bring in front of the commission at this point? You good? All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I so move.
Thank you. And from Barbara, and a second from Steve. I saw that hand. All in
Aye.
favor, please indicate by saying aye.
All right.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.